Welcome to the Piston Fanatic. I'm your host, Dave Dalton, and I'm excited to share my passion and perspective of our Detroit Pistons as we go on this fantastic voyage together. I've been a diehard Piston fan since the days of Dave Bing and Bob Lanier. I've also been the varsity basketball coach of a very successful program in northern Michigan. Thank you for listening. Please subscribe. Keep those subscribers coming in. Our Pistons got thumped tonight by a red-hot Milwaukee Bucks team who just could not miss the three, especially in the first three quarters of the game. And it's very disappointing. We were all fired up, for this game and hoping to make the knockout round at least. And we have no chance. So not only did we get beat, but the point differential and the fact that the Knicks crushed the Magic leaves us out of it. So anyway, we lost 128 to 107. And the Bucks are red hot. I mean, they struggled. They were terrible at the beginning of the season, and they had different players injured in and out and stuff. But they have won 9 of their last 10 and 7 in a row. So, we're not the only team losing to them. But it's funny how games go. We played them in Milwaukee just a little while ago, and of course Lillard was out, but Giannis scores 59, and Lopez scores 27, and the rest of the guys can't even make a point. And tonight, all those other players that they had. Prince made 4 out of 4 threes. Portis made 4 out of 7 threes. Trent Jr. made 3 out of 5 threes, and AJ Green made 6 out of 6 threes. And when that happens, you're in trouble. So, and the Bucks for the game, they ended up making 23 threes, one away from breaking the all-time record or tying the all-time record against the Pistons, or threes made in a game. So, the all-time record is 24. So, anyway, it was heartbreaking, that we were so fired up, and that I knew realistically it might not happen, but our guys, it was cool. It was so cool for our guys to have this. So that feeling after we had such a miserable season last year, and they are different. And I'm really confident they're going to bounce back. And we were going to have, this season's going to be ups and downs. We're going to have disappointing losses like the 76ers game that we just lost, and we're there's going to be a lot of losses like that, but we're going to still have wins, and we're going to play tough against some good teams, and we're going to have some really good games. We're only about a quarter of the way through. Our Pistons have played more games than any other team in the league, and so we've got our schedule has been jam packed together. And a lot of people said, well, we can't use that as an excuse when we lost to the Sixers, that we played back to back, and they didn't. They were rested. They hadn't played in a couple of days, but we had played 3 games in 4 days, and they were rested, and it matters. And then the fact that Cade was ruled out just before the game, those psychological things are a big part of the NBA. Just like the fact that we played the Bucks tonight, we got walloped. We were all high up and excited to compete for the NBA Cup, and then they got to get on a jet and fly to Boston and play the best team in the NBA tomorrow night. And the Celtics, did they play tonight? No. And I'm sure there's all kinds of numbers that support that those things matter, and that just like I said, playing 3 out of 4 games and then playing a team that's rested like the 76ers, that and we had the big letdown. We had the big emotional letdown after killing the Pacers. That was such a high. And that's the thing about games. Games are not played in a vacuum. Games are not played. You can't just look at, oh, we're playing this team this night, so we should beat this team. It's not. It doesn't work that way. There's travel. There's emotion of one game to the other game, and a lot of times teams bounce back after they get killed and they play really good games. But I guarantee you, I just know from coaching, and again, high school is not the NBA, but anything when one team plays back to back and the other team doesn't, there's a huge difference. It's a huge difference in the body and what a team can do. So, I used to watch my teams, the day after a game. Our practice the next day was challenging for the most part, the energy level. So we'll get into this game a lot and talk about it some more, but the 76ers, they were just red hot when they played the Pistons, and those guys, they are having a terrible year, and then they just beat us. But anyway, getting back to the Knicks are beating the Magic by 30. So here's what can happen. The Magic were in, and the Knicks were kind of out. The Knicks could be competing with the Pistons. But now, if the Knicks, I don't know what it is, 30-some points, if the Knicks beat the Magic, then the Celtics sneak in because the Celtics are out of it because the Celtics were in with the same grouping with Atlanta, who was 4-0, and with the Knicks, and so now it's going to be interesting. Are the Knicks smart enough to not let the Celtics get in it and make sure the score doesn't get less than whatever the point differential has to be? Another thing I want to talk about today is the NBA is just a mess. The NBA is just uh, there's teams already that have been experiencing ups and downs. The Suns were way high. The Suns hardly lost a game, and then Durant gets hurt, and then they've lost a whole bunch in a row. But here's the thing: half the league has won between 9 and 12 games, 3 game difference. Half of the league, 15 teams, have won between 9. So everybody is just, and there's a lot of teams even close that have won this 8 and 13 and stuff like that. But anyway, there's going to be so much change throughout the year, and there's going to be teams that streak here and streak there, and there's going to be tanking and trades and, like I said, injuries, and there's going to be a fascinating to see what happens. But this whole NBA season so far has been just a wild scramble. I mean, who thought that the Knicks are bringing it back up? The Knicks were struggling. Obviously, the 76ers, they have been they're one of the bottom teams in the league. So yeah, a lot of things can happen the rest of the year. The good thing is I'm excited that our Pistons, they have been fun to watch so far. We've had some disappointing losses. Tonight was, very disappointing, but we have a lot to look forward to. We got a lot of good players. You can just tell by the body language, by the chemistry these guys have, by the way they act towards each other. And our coach. Our coach is in it. Our coach is in it every second of every game. It doesn't matter what the score is. He is in it, and he is ready to fight for his team, and that matters. And I think that will keep our guys inspired. So um, another thing I'm really excited about is Asar, and he's had he has some flashes there, man. He blocks some shots and he gets some steals and he tips the ball away and he makes some plays that don't quite turn out, and he gets an offensive rebound and he just does some stuff. And I'm just so excited to see what happens. I'm not positive how. I think there's enough time this year that he's going to get in shape. I'm still confident they're going to be still careful. I mean, I think they're going to be, very careful with him. So I don't know how long they're going to just let him play. But it was interesting that it was a 76ers game where he missed 2 threes in a row. The next time come down, he's wide open, and they left him wide open, and he made it. He shot it. He's still not going to be the 3-point shooter he's going to be. I am very confident. Here's a hot take. Next year, Asar Thompson will shoot 35% or better on threes. That is from here, and his shot is much better. He still doesn't have confidence in it. He hasn't got to play that much. He hasn't been out on an NBA game in like 9 months, and it's a new shot for him. So I just think it's going to happen, and he's still playing very limited minutes, and it's hard to really get in the flow when you play. Very limited. I mean, tonight he played 13 minutes, so he's had a bunch of games like that where he's played 13 or 16 minutes. And so once he gets to where he can play more and more minutes, it's going to be better. But Giannis was tough again tonight, 10 for 11. He made his first 10 shots, only 8 for 12 from the line, but it makes you mad. He just puts his head down and drives to the basket. And he is amazing. He is a freak of nature. He is the Greek freak for a reason. But he gets calls. He just rammed it right down into Asar one time. He just gets the calls. He likes to complain if they go against him, but he's like most superstars do. They get the calls and they whine when they don't get a call, even if they did it. But Lillard was tough. He was 9 for 17, 5 for 11 on threes, and 27 points. Giannis had 28 points in limited minutes. Here's a guy you can go back, and I'm gonna brag on myself and pat myself on the back, but I tell you, if you go back into my podcast during free agency, before free agency, I said to get Taurean Prince. It's on tape. It's on tape, multiple episodes. Tonight he was 4 for 4 on threes. He's leading the NBA in 3-point shooting. He's a good, tough defender, and I thought we could get him for a bargain price. The Bucks got him for the minimum. We didn't try to get him, but I mean, I'm sure there's reasons maybe he wouldn't want to come to play for the Pistons. A couple other guys that I talked about before, Quentin Grimes, last 10 games, he's averaged 14 points, 5 rebounds, 2.5 assists, 53% from the floor, 47% on threes, and he shot quite a few, and they won. The Mavericks have won 7 out of 10 games. And part of that happens, and this is another thing that happens in the NBA. He's getting chances. So Luka missed a bunch of those games, and they won with him. And my other guy, Najee Marshall, he had like 3 games in a row where he had over 20, and he had shot a high volume of threes and made a high percentage of them. And he they got opportunities because Luka's out. So all of a sudden there's more playing time, there's more shots. And then recently, I think the last game, Kyrie was out, so that still gave Grimes more opportunities to shoot and a chance to get in the flow and confidence. And so, yeah, here's a guy. I wanted to say this: we've been having a lot of people have talked about getting a backup point guard. The Pelicans have released Elfrid Payton, so he was averaging 6.7 points, 6.9 assists, 3.4 rebounds in just only 7 games, small sample size. But he had a game where he had 14 points and 21 assists. 21 assists he had in the game, November 25th. And there's the talk about us getting a backup point guard. So he's released. Somebody can claim him off waivers. I don't know how the waivers work. We got to claim B-Ball Paul off waivers, and so I think our waiver ranking was high. I don't know how it all works after you claim a guy, if your name goes down in the rankings like your team does, like in fantasy football. But anyway, it would be really interested to see if we picked up Peyton, and who knows where his agent will want him to go, probably to a winning team or probably to a chance where he'll get playing time. So again, the Pistons have been committed to, since before the season started, to staggering Cade and Ivy. And I still say a lot of games, Ivy got some shots up later in the game, and I didn't write his stats down, but at one point he had very few shots taken. Hardaway had a good game. Hardaway was 29 minutes, 5 for 10, 2 for 5 on threes, 3 for 3 from the line, 3 rebounds, 1 assist, 15 points. Tobias, really good game. 33 minutes, 5 for 10, 2 for 5 on threes, 4 for 4 free throws, 5 rebounds, 3 assists, 3 steals, 1 block, 16 points. Solid game. So we didn't play that bad. Duran, 20 minutes, 5 for 6. He got in some foul trouble, 1 for 1, 6 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 steal, 3 blocks in 20 minutes, and 11 points. And so, again, he's got to learn not to foul, and he always thinks he doesn't foul, and he always thinks he gets fouled. Just so does Ivy, but they do a lot of times, but they don't get respect. But you can't stop in the game and put your hands up like this, and you just got to keep on playing. So our guy Beasley, he's been red hot, and tonight he was stone cold. So he only made 2 for 10 and 0 for 4 on threes, and he's been smoking. But he was cold tonight, and we needed him. 3 rebounds, 0 assists as usual, 4 points. Asar, 13 minutes, 3 for 5. He made a couple of really sweet shots where he drives to the basket, and somebody's kind of converging on his right hand, so he switches the ball to his left hand and he puts it in. But he is so much stronger, he is so much thicker, and he is still just as explosive. And so that's going to be hard to handle when you add in that he has an improved shot. Holland was 1 for 4. Holland played D'd up on Lillard once. Lillard just ran right into him, and Holland just moved his feet, didn't go into him at all, and they called the foul on Holland, and Lillard got 2 free throws. But that's life in the NBA. But he was 1 for 4 and 0 for 1 on threes, and 2 rebounds, 1 assist. Fontecchio is getting really limited minutes, but he's still playing pretty good. We'll see what happens. It's going to get hard now. It's going to get hard with the minutes, with Hardaway and Tobias and Beasley and Asar and Holland and Tuck. That's a lot of those guys play the similar position, and there's 2 spots, and there's all those guys, and so it's going to be really hard, I think, challenging. So something's going to have to give with playing time. But yeah, anyway, we'll see if the Pistons sign Peyton. Like I said, I think that we've had a good run so far. We've won 9 games still, and I think we're going to win a lot more games before the season's over. But I still think we're going to have some disappointing losses. And then tonight, Cade had pretty good game. He had 23 points, and he was 9 for 16, which is good, and 3 for 6. Those are good numbers. 5 rebounds, 6 assists. He had 4 turnovers, which is an okay number for him, but they were all in the first half when we were getting blistered. So he made a couple careless turnovers like he always does, and so we still look forward to that getting cleaned up. But anyway, thank you very much for listening. Play the Celtics tomorrow night. It's going to be really interesting to see what energy we bring after. Like I said, it's not just playing a game. They play this game. They're disappointed. They got to get on a plane. They got to fly into Boston. Do they get there at 2 o'clock in the morning? I don't know. And then they got to try to sleep. And of course, they don't have a game till nighttime, but it's still challenging for guys. So anyway, thank you for listening. Be the reason that somebody feels cared for. Go Pistons.